Hello, greetings everybody. Welcome to 3 p.m. on Thursday the 16th of March, 3 p.m. UK time, and the AquaStax hour with me, Long Steve. Right, should be ready to go today. I have set things up. I'm wearing my hat. Let's just give the old hat a quick test. Let's give it a rainbow, shall we? I haven't got my mirror or my iPad/mirror that I had last time. Didn't like the idea of it dangling over my monitor. I'll think of a more subtle mirror arrangement, maybe something nice and small that can go on top of my monitor there, just for good measure so I can see myself, but I'm not going to worry too much about it. The hat seems to be working, it's online, ready to go. So let's bring up my gulp task. I'm going to use a separate window. I'm not going to run it inside my Slick Edit window today. ls I want gulp serve. There we go. I can leave that sitting in the background because Slick Edit will tell me every time I save whether or not I have any JS hint warnings. Oh, hi Alexi, good to see you. It's been a little bit of time, hasn't it? Does my pop-up work? Yes, it does. Good. I've been playing around with my chatbot Tim a little bit. Luckily, things still seem to be working. Okay, so it's been quite a while since I've done anything interesting. Let's bring up Chrome. What am I looking for? Chrome. There it is. Yes. And Mario B316. Good to see you. AquaStax, localhost. So, the end of Tuesday evening, I managed to write my flood fill routine, or expand on my flood fill routine that I wrote this time last week, so that it fills in blocks of color. Now, when a block lands, the grid, or the blocks that are inside the grid, are rendered using a different routine. They're no longer just the block objects or the block nodes left in place. They're now rendered separately. As you can see, they have no outline, and there's a flash that occurs when a block lands. That's because the grid is cleared and then re-rendered iteratively, so it takes a few frames for the whole lot of blocks to appear. I'm going to remove that now because that was just a bit of testing code that I put in place, and I can just want to see things appear instantly. And then I'm going to look at an issue that I found right at the end of last week, which was the fact that the blocks aren't quite counted properly. If you'll see here, I won't go into it in a second. I'll do a bit of visualization code to show the number on the screen. What I did at the end of last stream was I was digging into the debugger to see how many blocks of, or how many groups of blocks of the same color were being calculated by my code. For example, there should be 3 groups there. And if I put this one down here, it should merge with that existing block of the same color. So there's still only 3 groups. But if I put another one on somewhere like there that's not directly attached, that should be 4 groups and so on. But the data structure wasn't being created correctly. It kind of looks like it works visually, but under the covers things weren't quite right. So I'm going to dig into that. So let's find out where I was. Let's put down a bit. And so first thing I want to do is get rid of that flashing, which was related to the fact that my flood fill routine goes over the grid, builds up a big list of, or a big array called fill groups, and each group inside that should be the list of blocks that correspond to the cells for that group. Oh, hi, GeoStraffics, good to see you. Or was that GoStraffics? Yes, GoStraffics. Let's see what I want to do. And then the render is done. I think the render is done once every frame. Yes, it's done in the update. What I want to actually do, what I wanted to actually do, is get rid of that and just do it once. Render fill. I might as well do it at the end of the flood fill. Yes, so right down the bottom here. Let's put in the bottom self.render fill cells. And now I want to change render filled cells so it doesn't use this index and increment it every frame. So I'll get rid of it entirely. If self.fill groups, that's probably all we need. Or actually self.fill groups.length is equal to 0, then we return. Here we want to do another loop, or I'll do a local variable called fillIndex. I keep thinking, I mean, I'm quite old school in that my for loops are what I learned when I first started learning C programming back in the early 90s. So they're always the traditional for fillIndex equals 0, fillIndex is less than whatever we want, self.fillGroups.length, fill index plus plus, and all over the place I use just simple loop variables like I and j and so on. But I could quite easily do for var fill index in self.fillGroups, and that would work just as well, and it's slightly less code. But of course it does mean that if fillGroups isn't an array, or it's an associative array that has indexes that aren't integers or other things that don't go up incrementally. So because you can have an array with 0 and 5 and 10 and various indexes in it that aren't consecutive, so it's a sparse array. This will still work, whereas the other loop wouldn't necessarily do that. Excuse me, I slipped my tea there. But the other loop would go over all the indexes, but some of them would be undefined. I'm gonna stick with my old style for now because that's what I preferred mostly. Like you can see just below there, do the same thing. So I could just undo all that. I'm gonna get there we go, right. This I don't need that fillIndex plus plus anymore. And this is just local variable fillIndex. I think that's it. So with any luck now, watch.js int, the grid rendering should appear instantaneously every time a block lands. Right. Good. Now let's count those blocks. So I'll quickly jump into the debugger again to remind myself what I was doing the end of last time. Let's see, right. My hotkeys. So I've got a breakpoint there. Oh, actually, I could do it in the render, couldn't I? Just where I've just put that bit of code in. So here, let's clear that. So as it lands, I'm expecting there to be self.fillGroups to be 1, which it is. Actually, let's put a watch in. Can I do that? There. Add. Maybe it's that. Okay, I was hoping I might just be able to automatically add a watch for it, but we did. Aha! That's quite cool. Let's remove that. So if I hover over a variable, let's say that one, click on it, and then click watch. What does it do? Oh, nothing. No, I definitely clicked watch there and something appeared, but now it's asking me to type it in. I'll have to watch my stream back and see what exactly I did there to figure out how to do a quick watch, because what I want to actually do is type in self.fillGroups. I suppose I could just do .length and continue. Right, so now I'm expecting it to be 2 when that lands, but it's 4. So self.fillGroups has somehow, it's got, let's try and see what it's got. So it's got one group with 3 cells in it. So that would be what I would expect that one to be. So the positions are 2, grid pos 2, which is that cell there, 0, 1, and 2. And then this one is going to be grid pos 3 with a triangle. Yeah, so that's that. But then why do I have more fill groups? Right, so what's this one? This has 2 in it, and it's tile number 7, and that's definitely that triangle is tile number 7. Grid pos 6 and grid pos 7. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so that's the group corresponding to that block that's just landed. But what are the other ones? Ah, okay. So it's got nothing in it. And that's got nothing in it. So they're empty ones that have been created for some reason. I wonder why. Maybe I can count those in a minute and remove them. Just compact the array and see if that gives me the correct number. So if I jump down here, if I put this on here, I would only expect there to be 3 groups, but now we have 5. So there's another one being added with the 2 cells in it. So grid pos 16 triangle type 1, grid pos 16 triangle type 3. So that's okay. And then we've got the empty ones. There's one there. There's one there. Oh, okay. Right. What I'm going to do is I'll put in a bit of visualization code first. So let's see. Fill group count 0, and literally just put that as equal to the index.length to start with, but I might tweak that in a minute to count the non-empty groups. So fill group count. Let's go into game and draw it on our screen. So I've already got some indicators here, which are these key press indicators. That little bit of debugging there, the frame rate and the number of nodes in the scene, comes out of Cocos2d-JS. So I'm just going to stick a number on the screen somewhere, like up the top here. So let's do key press indicators, group count indicator, group count, label, and self.group count label equals new cc.label ttf. And this is where I get confused, because some of the newer versions of Cocos2d-X, you just use cc.label, whereas the version of Cocos2d-JS, the JavaScript version that I'm using, still has a distinction between a TTF label for a TrueType font and a label bitmap for a bitmap font. Let's see, how does this work? That was like label TTF, text, font name, font size, dimensions, blah blah blah. Right. Text starts off at 0. Font name Arial. Is it Arial or Arial with an E? Yeah, use that a few times, right? 38, that looks like a good number. And then we want set position, game panel. Let's see, we want somewhere like just to the left of the game panel. So 0, no, X. So where's the game panel drawn? Game panel. Game panel.x. Okay, so I can use game panel.x minus 50 and y position 10 just off the top of the screen. Self.group count. I think I'm going to have to do a set color. cc.color, so white. And then self.addChild. See if that works. Nope. JS into Happy. Hi, Turtle iOS. Good to see you. What did I get wrong there? cc.color. Console. Local Z order of undefined. What did I do wrong there then? Game panel. That's definitely game panel is there. put a breakpoint in that bit of code and see what happens. So self dot, yep, that's there. Set position, that's okay. Set color, that's okay as well. Self dot add child, self dot group label. Oh, I called it group label count, not group count label, so that's going to break. So that's where it goes wrong. Yes, hi, live edu support. Good to see you. I should have copied and pasted it and not typed it. One of those rare points where copying and pasting might have saved me. Still got breakpoint. There's my number. Right, so it's down the bottom. I'm expecting it to be at the top. Of course, it's bottom left, 0. So let's do. Do we have cc.winsize, cc.winsize.height -10? Right, and self.grouplabelCount somewhere down here, just after we render, or just after the block lands. Where's my stick block function? There it is. Let's just update the value. So self.grouplabelCount.set. I think it might be set string actually. Set text, set string. No, it is set string. My help text isn't quite right yet. It's still I still haven't sorted out the index. But where was I? Set string, and then we want self.grid. I'm just going to reference the variable directly. Self.grid dot whatever I called it. Group count. All right. No. I said -10. My blocks on my text is off the screen. cc.winsize.height -10. Oh, it's probably anchored center, isn't it? -50. Okay, right. So there's 1. Okay. 4. So that's wrong to straight away. Let's just see though. Oh, hi, Stephen X. Good to see you. I'm gonna tweak this number a bit now. So let's. As we render, so let's see, if self.fill groups fill index if cells dot length is greater than 0, then we increment fc. Down the bottom here, store fc that. So now we're only going to count the number of groups that have a non-zero list of cells in them. Okay, so we've still got 4. That's interesting. I thought, by the looks of my debugger there, see that one's okay. These are very small blocks though, aren't they? That one there, 5, no, that's gone wrong. Let's force my block to be 0. I want to go to random block. There we go. So we're always dealing with the same tile dropping down. So 1 there, 2, that's fine. So if I put it the other way round, what does that do? That's interesting, that gives me 2. So yes, okay, let's see what it's doing. This is going to be a bit interesting. Let's put a breakpoint in grid down the bottom here. Yeah, lots of interesting stuff going on here. I'm not overly keen on the complexity of this code. I mean, it's been written twice. I got it horribly wrong once. Then I wrote a cleaner function, which was just flood fill, wasn't doing anything special. Then I tried to expand the flood fill to take into account all these blocks, and it got horrible again. But if I just put 1 there, right at the bottom left, so everything should be 0 based. The flood fill yeah, let's come in. Tile num, pause. Tile num is at -1? Oh, 0, okay. So what do? We loop twice because there are 2 triangle positions per cell. And in this instance, we have triangle type 3, which is that pointy one there to the left. Triangle type 3, there it is. None of these continues should trigger. So we mark it as seen. If it doesn't equal 0, we push it onto the group. Right. And now we're going to fill in. Hopefully we're going to fill to the right, because this particular triangle type of whatever it is, did I say 3, isn't it? Yeah. Should trigger. So this one won't work because we're on the bottom, I think. Oh no, it is working. So where are we going here? We're going. Okay, we're trying to go to the up direction, but that should hopefully just bail out straight away, or at least bail out at the point where it realizes there's nothing in the grid. Okay, we've marked it, doesn't equal 0. Ooh, why are we still testing? We've not got a bailout if it's 0. Tile num from 0, tile num 0. Okay, what about triangle type? Also, right. So this is going to go all over the place, isn't it? This is going to end up. We came from the up direction. This is going to try and go right, isn't it? Actually, no. It's going to bail out because triangle type is 0. So actually, it's going to sort of go through all of these. Come back again. Triangle type is still 0. None of these will trigger. That's the end of the loop. Back out. Now we're back out to the first iteration of the flood fill, having gone up. What do we do now? Do we go to the right? Yes, we go to the right. It should find. I've still got the same group. So we're going in. Triangle type of 4, tile num 0. So that triangle type of 4 is part of this square section. So if the build routine has been through it, hasn't been through it. If the tile num at this location doesn't match, tile num is not -1. Okay, so it does match. Check the appropriate triangle type given the direction of filling. So triangle type 4 is okay. Let's see if any of these trigger. We're going to continue. That's interesting. So did I get this wrong the other day? So I filled from the left, and triangle type is 3 or 4. Yeah, I see. It's trying to ignore this particular triangle type. It doesn't realize that there's 2 separate triangles. So I do have to special case solid squares. That makes a bit of sense, I think. Just going to have a sip of tea. Hope it doesn't slurp too much. I might mute myself actually first before I do that. That's better. So I'm slowly figuring out what my code did wrong before. I think I see what it's doing. It needs to special case the square, so a solid square, or it needs, no, that's not going to work either. I was going to say it needs to deliberately prefer triangles within the grid cell that are the same as the one it's currently looking at for the group wise, but that won't work either. Okay. I suppose we could special case the square. Let's special case the square and see what happens. I'll just leave they're sitting there. Right. Grid. So kind of bunch of appropriate triangle types. So this is if we're looping over both triangle locations within the grid position, but we kind of want to do something before that that says, is this a solid square of the right type? If so, doesn't matter what direction we come, or it doesn't matter what type of triangle are. And also we can go in all three directions, can't we? Don't have to worry about the specialist if we're only going up, down, left, or right. Yeah, let's try that. So, test for a solid square block at this cell position. So I'm pretty sure I've done is square before somewhere. Search for it. Square. To spell it right. Here we are. Yes, it tests the particular triangle numbers. I'm going to pinch this. I'll refactor it later if I need to. Haven't used my catchphrase for a little bit while actually. Definitely do that again. So that fill, I don't suppose it matters too much where I put it. Let's put it up there. Bar square. Okay, so if self.gameGrid grid pause square. I'm wondering if I have to. I'm looking at the bailout early when it's empty as well, because that bailout when it's empty is kind of only implicitly happens because it filters through and doesn't actually come off all of these things, because triangle type ends up being 0. Yeah, if I might do I think I can just return directly, but I do have to set the scene flags into the game grid. So let's do a early bailout for empty cell. So if self.gamegrid and ff, so if the lower 2 bytes, which correspond to the triangle locations, equals 0, i.e. there's no triangles there at all, then we want to mark the both self.game.grid pause and it's or equals fill flag scene T1 ORed with T2. So both flags, and then we return. I think that's safe. Then test for a solid square block at this cell position. So if we get to this point, we know there's at least one triangle in the grid cell we're looking at. So just to see if it's a solid square, and then we also have to check that and both triangles belong to the same block. Is it tile or block? Same tile. So we need if the first tile number, which is that shifted down by 24 bits, and we only care about 1 byte, equals the number shifted down by 16 bits. if both triangles belong to the same tile, then, oh, and that tile is the one that we're dealing with, and the tile is matches our current group, then we want to, so how does that work? If that's tile num from, I don't know if you can hear that or not, airplane going over. I live fairly close to an airport, so they come down. Sometimes they've taken off to the north, and I live to the south, so you don't hear it. Other times they're landing and taking off over our house. But you get totally used to it when you live here. And I never notice it, apart from when I'm doing something specific that requires communicating with other people, like talking to somebody on the phone or doing this. I notice the noise going over. Anyway, so tile num from, that's got to equal either one of these, doesn't matter which. This is all quite longhand. I'm sure I could shorten this, but I'll do it verbosely for now. Equals that. Then we want to deal with the, so we can, what do I want to do? And I can push two triangles onto the group. I could do that. Then I could flood fill in all three directions that don't correspond to where we come from. See what happens, I suppose. Let's see. Oh, hi, Attila Rampazzo. Good to see you. Let's see what time. Oh, 3:30. So, what's I going to do? Push both triangles onto the. What am I pushing them onto? I'm pushing them onto the current group, aren't I? The cells onto the current group. So we do this. Grid pause, triangle type. So the first one is. So that doesn't actually matter. I can just fake this and call it like 31 or 24 or something, couldn't I? I'll do it actually as it's supposed to be. So it's game grid and 0x0f, so that's the first one. And the second one on the same place is that shift down by 4 bits. Right, so that's that. Then we want to mark the grid as seen. Okay, mark the cell fully seen. And then we want to flood fill in the three directions that we didn't come from. So that's going to be, I'm going to copy and paste a bunch of this code now, aren't I? Do I want to get down to here? Let's see. Ooh, hi, Apple 07. Good to see you. Is it Ann Apple or Apple? And were there six other people with the same account before you? So you had to pick number 7. I love wondering about these things when you see people's user IDs. So, I'm thinking I should borrow this bit of code here. Do I want to return as well? Yeah, I can return. Oh, I'm going to hate myself, but I'm going to copy and paste it. Okay. I should have some disclaimer up when I do this kind of code that says, don't do this yourself. Oh, hi, Metafroxter, good to see you. I've just done some horrible copying and pasting. I shall refactor it later. And I don't care about the triangles in this instance, do I? It's kind of a longhand way for just saying, only go in the three directions that we haven't already come from. Mark scene, right. And after all that, we want to bail out because this is our special case for a square that's solid and the right type. So did that work? Did my window disappear? There we go. I've got a few bits to fix up. Right. So I've missed that. Oh, I know what I might have done. I might have made, yeah, my Windows hides. Control S. I want to pin that. There it is. Right. I'll get rid of that now. So that worked. Okay. I'm really pleased with my JS hint actually showing me the warnings and things like that when I actually save the file now. It's much better than it used to be because I used to ignore it because I didn't notice it happening. Anyway, let's get back to this. So is it going to crash? No, it didn't crash. Right. We've still got 3 groups though, haven't we? How annoying. I hope that would fix it, but it didn't. Let's try that again. So what happened before? I dropped a block down like that, and it came out with 2 groups, didn't it? It's still doing it. So let's debug down it again. Debug. I'm almost at the point where I'm thinking I don't want to. What did I do? It was that, wasn't it? Yes. I might ditch all this code and start again with a much simpler way of doing it. Maybe starting a bit of just a bit of pseudocode because I've got a lot of stuff in here now that's way more complicated than I expected it to be. So I've obviously, I mean, this was Tuesday night's code, so it does tend to be a bit rough and ready on Tuesday nights. But I won't do that just yet. I'll dig in a little bit further. So plug fill, we dive in. I'm hitting F10 and F11 here, so F11 is step into a function, F10 is step over. They're all different. Xcode has different ones. Visual Studio, I think actually Visual Studio might be 10 and 11. Shift F11 somewhere is usually step out. It usually takes you a day or 2 to get used to a different environment, just because of the debugger step methods are different. So that one didn't bail out this time because we're on that point. And we're going to dive into one of these functions. So I want to jump over the first one because that's where it goes up and finds that there isn't anything there. Out of interest, yeah, still only one on the groups, which is correct. Now we want to dive into this one, which is where it iterates onto the next cell. Grid +1, filling from the left, right. So bail out for an empty cell. No, it shouldn't be that. We haven't seen it before. So test for a solid square block. So what is grid pos? Game grid pos. It's 1. It's 36. So that's that should be a square, I think. Yep. And now we test to see if 24 shift down by 60. Is that right? Did I get 24 and 16? I'm just going to look here where I create data. So T1 is the bit shifted up by 24, T2 is up by 16. Yep, that's the tile number. So these ought to match because they're both tile 0. Ah, it didn't match. What did I get wrong there? Game grid pos. So grid pos is 1. Game grid pos is 36. They should both match 0. Game grid pos shifted down by 24 and FF should equal, yeah, that should have been, both of those should have been tile 0 and they should have matched. What did I get wrong? Going to put a breakpoint in there again. Just run that again. Right. So it's definitely square. 36. Here. 36 is 24 in hex. Very handy of Slinger to tell me that. And that means that, where's my block? So it's a 2 and a 4, yeah, so it's a solid square. And just being 36. So self.gameGrid grid pos at this point is 36. Probably. Self.grid gameGrid grid pos. Oh, hi, Verviuslyunsky. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Awesome names. Oh, I disappeared again. Somebody with an awesome name. Oh, and back. I'm not sure how the jumping in and out of things works. Sometimes people just drop by because they happen to be logged in and then go off somewhere else to watch another stream. So that grid pos is 36, so there's nothing in the high bits. So shift down by 24 should equal 0, and shift down by 16, and FF should equal 0 as well. So let's just do this longhand. Bar T1 equals ooh, 16, not 26. If T1, maybe they're different types or something crazy. T1 equals T2. Right. Let's refresh. Yes, they're both the same, both are 0. And now we jump into here. So tile num from is actually also 0. In fact, I could tweak that so it's fishes as well. I get to see it. So that's going to work. Let's just break that, continue. So now we've got one group. Let's jump down and see what happens if I add that to it. Don't need that at the moment. Yes, we've still got one group. All these tiles, all these blocks dropping down being of the same color, mean that as long as I add them on like that, where they're solid, I should just get one group, because the flood fill is just finding this group. If I put another one there, I'll get 2. But if I add one like that, I'll also hopefully get 3, because it shouldn't follow up on that one, because that's like a not connected. That's interesting. Yeah, that's working. Let's do what I want to do. Oh, I could try that, I suppose. 4, yeah, so that's what I'd expect. Quite what this bit of code did here, that I must have been bracketed wrong or something. Let's, I wonder if it was something to do with the precedence of the bitwise AND operator and the equals or something like that. See, if I go back to put it like that, let's comment that out. When this lands, I get 2 groups because this special case isn't firing properly. But if I put this in brackets, ooh, oh no, we're okay. There, right. Let's try that. One. Ah, it must have been. Here's something very interesting. I'm going to quickly Google this. It looks like the precedence, or sorry, the associativity, not precedence, yeah, associativity of these operators might be different or equal or something, and it's left to right. I bet that's exactly the same as that. So it wasn't working right. Let's see what it's trying to do. Had this online still. Let's have a quick sign on. Red sign on. Yeah, we're still going. Do feel free to log into AquaStax.com yourself and have a go if you want to control my hat, or you can ask Tim, my friendly chatbot. The hat command. Does that work? Oh, I didn't. Is Tim? Yes. Oh, there's Tim. He's a bit slow. Right, you can do pling hat pulse, and it will pulse. Right, what was I going to do? Google JavaScript operator precedence. All right. Microsoft documentation here. So the following table lists the JavaScript operators ordered from highest to lowest. So the equals, inequality, equality, whatever operator is actually higher precedence than the bitwise operators. So what was probably happening in my code was, so that was where it was, wasn't it? So it was probably this, because I didn't have brackets around it. It was effectively testing that. Gosh, that's a hairy bug. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure it's nice and explicit. Then I'm going to do t1 equals t2, and then I can also reuse tile num from equals t1 here. Doesn't matter. Good. So use t2, then same. Right. I wonder now if my flood fill is actually storing groups with empty cells in them. Let's just switch this back. Get rid of that. Right. I drop it down that way. So we've got one. Connect it. Still got one. Another one, two. Another one, three. Okay. So that's three. Can I link these up? Ah, yeah. So we've got three different groups there. If I pop one here, I should end up with two. Yes, it goes back down. And I can link them all up actually. Slot one in there. And put another one in. Back to one. Excellent. Right. I'm going to try some of the other blocks now. So, although I'm not terribly happy with this complexity of this flood fill and my copying and pasting, it seems to be working the logic is working okay. I don't know how many times it's going through more often than it shouldn't. Although I've got the early bailout now, so it should be slightly better than it might otherwise have been. Let's actually just open recent. Let's make a comment on here. Where are we? 16th of March. Stack cluster grouping. Build upon a flood fill routine to iterate over blocks of the game color. Iterate over blocks of the same color, taking into account the triangle points. Grouping blocks together results in more groups, and it should fix this. Refactor the. I've got two refactor down here, but that's like a long-term thing. This is work I'm currently doing to refactor the flood fill to remove copy pasted code blocks and possibly simplify. I'm not worried about optimizing just yet. That's a bit later on. Refactor the flood fill to remove copy pasted blocks and simplify. Yeah. Assuming it does actually work, I'm just going to go back and change my random tiles. Okay, right. Down like that. It shouldn't matter which order. If I slot one in, I should, yeah, definitely got two blocks. The next thing is to outline each block solidly. 3 blocks, 4 blocks. So it's what it's counting here is blocks of color. That's what my flood fill should be determining. If I've got 6, if I put another one here, it'll still be 6 because that's one block of the same color. Oh, except it's crashed. I spoke too soon. What happened there? Infinite maximum call stack succeeded. So why is it complaining about that then? Let's see. Is it because it's missed a cell somewhere? I mean, missed marking a cell as used, maybe? Oh, hi Teoski, good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Just had an infinite loop occur, trying to figure out where it might be happening. I wonder if it's something to do with blocks of just square blocks. Let's change this to be 2. Is it 2 is my purple? Actually, what I also want to do is, let's say, if fixed block is not equal -1, rand tile num equals fixed block. I'm going to have a little constant that fixed test block, I'm going to call it actually, fixed test block. I've done this enough times now that I should make it a bit of the code. Fixed test block. And also I've got to do it here. Fixed test block does not equal, actually equals -1, question mark 0, so we want normal block 0. Always start with block 0. Otherwise we start with fixed test block. And fixed test block I'm just going to stick somewhere up here for now. And we want fixed test block of 2. Oops. And also I'm missing semicolon. Better fix that. Oh, just tweak my seating position. So there we go. Yeah, it's something to do with these square blocks. Maybe if I have, which is my little tiny square, is it number 4? Nope. Number 5, maybe. Nope. Maybe it's number 6. I thought 6 was my triangular one. Maybe it's number 2. Oh no, number 1. I'm going to have to look at the actual code to remind myself. Which one is it? The one that's got grid size of 1. There it is. It's tile number 3. One I didn't pick. There we are, right. So let's drop them down at the 0 point. Okay, that's all good. Ooh, right. So it looks like it's as it's got 4 in a cluster. I bet that's it. Bang. There we go. So what have I done? It's this solid square test, isn't it? Definitely marked the grid. And then done the fill in the opposite directions. If test for square. So we're only bailing out for, inside my square special case. I'm not bailing out if we've already seen the blocks, am I? Okay, right. So if solid square block at this cell position, and it matches. Do I want to? Yeah, I do want to actually wait till I get all the way down in here, don't I? And they're the same. Because if they're not the same, then we won't actually come through this point. So that's fine. We want to bail out if already seen. So if that's the already seen test, I want to use it again. That's bailout for empty. Here we go. This is the bailout already seen. So it's going to be if self.gameGrid grid pause. Should have turned that into a temporary variable and use that all over the place. Self.gameGrid grid pause ANDed with fill flag 1 ORed with 2. Now let's make sure we put brackets around this. So that, if that equals the exact bit field of that, then we know that they're both set. Then bailout, and it's just literally going to be a return, I think, isn't it? Yes. Because they're already set. We don't want to come down in here. Right. Okay, so that fixed that one loop. Let's get the blocks back. Grid game. Nice one. Okay. Other set to something other than -1 to force the block that spawns to always be this block, this same block. Right. So let's use this. We'll do a some solid filled squares next to each other in different places. Right. Let's put that there. 7. 1, 2, 3. That's not right. That should be 4. Okay. Another bug. Now, which is my triangular block? It's this one. It's 6. Two. Okay, so why are we still getting okay, I'm getting multiple groups again. Is it to do with the I just joined there, but I missed who it was. Is it to do with this counting of empty groups again, maybe? Cell used out of scope at cells. What happened when I put that down there? 1. That's interesting. So somehow I'm still getting empty groups being created, but possibly it's redundancy, and that by not counting them properly. Yeah, let's go. I want to just check my pointy triangle. I want 0 and 4 tile 7, because this was the one I spotted the glitch on. What does that do? 1, 2, 3. Okay, it doesn't seem to matter which direction it's facing. Let's join them together. Still 1. Okay, good. Slot 1 in there. Still 1. Slot 1 there. Still. Okay, so it must be something to do with these redundant groups. Let's just break into here. Just make a second one. So fill groups. Oh, there's lots of them there. Yes, but most of them appear to be empty. I wonder why that's 8. Times it 4 o'clock. I'm almost happy with this. Be time to stop soon. How are you doing, Alexi? Thanks for staying around and watching for the afternoon. Let's see. My plan for the near future is to get this grouping done. Then once the grouping is done, I can do the breaking of the blocks, so I can have pointy blocks that land and break large groups or clusters of the same color, and then the stack collapsing, which is probably still, I mean, that alone is going to take me a good couple of more weeks, maybe even a month, something like that. Then I'm going to stop, because at that point I'll have the grid and the block dropping logic pretty much complete, and I'm going to deploy the game to AquaStax.com, even though it's not much of a game. At that point, I might stick in some high scoring or just something like, front end menu that's basically click to play, and put something on the web so people can actually play it. Then I'm going to carry on and do all the sprites, things like that. So I'll stream the deploying of it as well. Well, somebody made a question there as well. My bot Tim is very verbose. He chats, he greets everybody, and back on the a while ago now, 15 minutes ago. Vovius Lyonsky asked what language it is, but it's JavaScript. Maybe he or she figured that out. So let's yeah. So once it's deployed, and then I'll stream the deploying. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet. Amazon Web Services probably hook the domain up to a virtual machine or a container, or even just statically using S3. That's probably the simplest thing. The simplest thing to do. But I want to make sure that from that point onwards, when I update code, the game on AquaStax.com gets updated automatically. So when I commit code to GitHub, I'll have a GitHub trigger or something that pulls the code and deploys it to the website. In fact, I might have 2 versions of the code. I might have the current stable version and then the ongoing development version, so that there's at least 2 things people can play. But that's all in a few weeks' time. Anyway, back to today. I want to just have a look at something. What was I going to look at? Oh yeah, why I'm getting groups with no cells in them. So where does it create a new group? Is it this? It's here, isn't it? So if it's not equal to 0, I bet it's creating a new group. But it ends up, let's see, I could cheat. So we're actually looping over every grid cell, and we're going over each triangle position within the cell. Not missing out on any ands. Now I've got the brackets around that properly, so it's not doing the operator precedence glitch. I might just put a breakpoint in around this flood fill. I suspect, I suspect this is the bit where it's creating redundant vertices. I mean redundant groups that have no cells in them. Let's go back to the breakpoint. Ooh, Baz 3L or 31. Good to see it. Might even be 3I, capital I. I can't read my font properly. Greetings. Oh, nice. Avatar, Basil Brush. I'm old enough to remember him. Where was I going to break? I was going to break down in the bottom here. Here we go. So after this returns, actually, I want a bit of a, let's do an if new group dot cells dot length equals 0. Break here. Let's have a place to do it. So what happens? That's okay. So we've got new group. Self.fill groups is obviously the second one. So why was this? Are we in the second loop? We're in t equals 1. Yep. We only come in here if it hasn't been seen. But of course it's the flood fill routine. When it hits this first cell, will encompass the other bit of the triangle here and mark the second cell. What grid pos are we at? 6. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, what it will do is it will come along here, it will hit the first one, find that triangle, then it will loop around to the second triangle position, so t equals 1, and automatically try doing another one. Because that particular triangle hasn't been seen by the flood fill. I see. But of course, when it tries looping or flood filling from that triangle, it won't find anything because there's nothing there. But it's already created the group beforehand, isn't it? So what I could do, I'm patching up. I have that horrible feeling that I'm patching up bad code here, and it's just like a cascade of patchings, and it's looking really bad at the moment. So I'm going to get it working. So I have something that at least works, but it's got to be fixed up. It's part of coding is recognizing when you hit these kind of issues that you don't want to leave bad code like this lying around. But it's really hard sometimes if you're under pressure, under time pressure. People have your bosses or managers or other people who are relying on you to do a bit of code. Even somebody downstream who's working on something that relies on your bit of logic will want that bit of logic as soon as you've done it, so they can complete their work, even though it might not be good to leave it in that state. I've got the luxury on this project of taking as long as I like, so I can fix things up before I finish with them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create one group at a time. So let's do the first time we group. Let's see. Current group. We'll create a new group, assuming we're ever going to hit 1. Yeah, because this always lands when the first block lands. This function is called when the first block lands, so there's always going to be at least one group. So group, new group, current group. I'm just going to call it group. Group hasn't been used. No, it's not been used. Right, group equals, and I'm going to create it here. Tile num -1. Let's do that. Okay, so new group. So when we hit this point here, if group dot cells is greater than is equal to 0. Sorry, group dot cells dot length. So if we have an empty group, we can reuse it. What I'm going to do group dot tile num equals tile num, and then we pass it into that. Flood fill that, and then we only push it if. Oh, actually, what am I doing? I can just do new group every time, can't I? It's a bit silly. Let's just. Here, new group, right. So I've got fill groups. Do we create a new one? We don't actually use fill groups within this function anywhere. It's just both triangles onto the current group. Push that triangle on. Yeah, we're flood filling only with the right group. If we come out, we need another one. So new group, tile num, cells, new group, if new group dot cells dot length is greater than 0, then we push it onto the our fill groups array, because we know that occasionally this comes back with empty groups. Group is defined but not used. Oh, yeah. So now back to, obviously the other thing I need to refactor, it just occurred to me, I just spotted as I was paging up there, I spotted this. This bit of logic is looping over every time a block lands, recalculating all the groups in the grid. Now it might be quite possible to do that without too much performance hit, but it's probably not something that needs to happen in its entirety. What I should do is that this bit of logic at the moment sort of loops over the whole grid, making sure that all the cells are allocated to a group where appropriate, but only the grid at the point where a block lands is going to really change. So it should use that knowledge to loop over the grid from the point where a new block lands. So I should probably be should be passing the block in where it's landed and something like that. And also not just finding the group that the block is belonging to if it exists. Anyway, there's a bunch of optimizations that can occur. So I'll get to that at some point in the future, and it would be handy if they were simplified, or if the logic was all a bit simpler in order to do that. Let's just do this. So now we should only ever get fill groups that are that have cells in them. So whenever anyone lands, 1, 2, right. Just going to play this for a little bit. I'll do a bit more testing once I've gone off stream in a short while, actually. 2, 1 there should be 3. Join them together, that should be 2. Yep, was that Sherry Chen? Chen, good to see you. 1, nice toothy pyramid thing going on here. Yeah, let's go back to our normal set of blocks. I'm confident this bit's working now because I'm only pushing blocks onto the array, but only pushing groups onto the array when the cells within that group is greater than 0. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. So if what we're doing effectively now is counting the colours, or counting the groups of colours. So if I start merging them, let's put that there. Yeah. I'm going to play this for a little bit longer, but I'm pretty confident it's going to work. But as I said, the code is pretty ropey. 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, looking good so far. 10. Nowhere I can put that block make. I'll stop it. I can't break in at the moment, so if I do that, let's put that there. That's giving me 12. I put that there. If I put another single block on top of that one on the left there at some point, I'll end up with reducing the number of blocks, which is the count should go down. Here we go. So the count should go down by 1 now when I do this. 11, yes. Right. Okay, I think that's pretty good for an hour and 20 minutes, maybe hour and a quarter. Right. Oh, hi, GHC. Good to see you. I'm just about to finish. I've written a bunch of ugly-looking code, but it functionally works. I'll refactor it later. But what I might do is just refactor it in my own time, and then next week I'll stream the here's my good code, or I'll just do it quickly next week, so that I don't waste too much time. But in refactoring, if anything interesting crops up, then I'll definitely stream that. Right, I could play this for ages. Great. Interesting to see how long it takes to process as well. I might actually put some additional counting code in there. The more blocks there are, the slower this is going to be. I expect, due to it, the flood fill having more to do. But there aren't that many blocks. There are a few hundred, so it should still be pretty quick. Does the frame rate dip whenever a block lands? I can't see it doing it at the moment. It seems pretty solid at somewhere around 60. It dropped to 59.9 at the time the block landed. That's barely even noticeable. Right, so I updated refactor.txt, refactor the flood fill, and remove the copy pasted blocks and possibly simplify. 16th of March. Let's go to SmartBit. Might give myself a rating. I wonder if the hat. Actually, I'll give myself 75 because the code's a bit ropey today. If I do that, does the hat offer any fun? No, it doesn't. I should have hooked the hat into my rating ability, but never mind. Let's just do hat rainbow. Yeah, we're still going. Adida? Yes, good to see you. Oh, I recognize your handle. I'm sure you've been around before. Anyway, we're going to SmartKit. What have we got? Game, grid, and refactor. I'm just going to commit this lot. So work through flood fill. So now correct counts color groups, blocks of adjacent blocks of the same color. Right, logic is a bit complex and needs to be simplified. Anything else I want to do, I might just comment that I added a constant. What did I call it? I called it fixed test block. Okay, that looks like it's pushed. Great. Whew, right, thanks very much indeed for watching. I will see you again next Tuesday evening at 8 PM. Yes, I stream 8 PM Tuesday evenings UK time, and then again next Thursday. After next week, my stream times might change. I've got a full-time job that I'm starting, so I won't be around in the daytime. And I might be too knackered in the evenings to stream at 8 o'clock on a Tuesday. I may have to reduce it to one stream a week, or maybe do a weekend one, although weekends tend to be rather busy. What I'll probably end up doing is sticking to something like about 6 o'clock. So I might move this Thursday afternoon stream to 6 p.m., assuming I'm around at 6 p.m. on a Thursday. Maybe I'll probably keep the 8 o'clock one to start with. So Tuesday evening, 8 o'clock. Thursday will move till 6 p.m., I think. Maybe even move to a little bit later, depending on what times I'm available to get back. But I'd still like to keep at least one stream a week, carry on doing this. So that's me done for the day. I will go jump back to my primary splash screen and then see you on Tuesday next week. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy.